Good morning and welcome to the April edition of the Committee of the Whole of the Municipality of the County of Annapolis. Today is a significant day in our history because this is Earmark Day. And we have had a registrar of earmarks of cattle since at least 1838. And the registrar of earmarks, guess what? Kept a register of earmarks of every cow in the county. And you'll notice that I have 3 indentations and 1 circle. And that would be registered with the registrar of earmarks. The registrar of earmarks also had to keep track of when the cows were no longer with us because the earmarks could be transferred. And so I think that was a time-consuming job. And they are earmarks. And if anybody follows Murdoch's Mysteries on CBC, which is portrayed as the early 20th century, they do not deal in fingerprints. They deal in finger marks. And so there's a direct correlation coming down through our history of that term. Roll call, please, beginning with District 1.
Bruce Prout.
District 2, Brian Fuzzy-Connell.
District 3, Dustin Inslow.
District 4, Clyde Burton.
District 5, Ernie Longmire.
District 6, Mike Morrison.
District 7, David Hudson.
District 8, Michael Gunn.
District 9, Wendy Sheridan.
District 10, Brad Redden.
District 11, Diane LeBlanc.
Thank you. Are there any disclosures of interest? Thank you. Are there any changes to the order of the day? Deputy Warden.
We move 6.6, Granville Street parking redevelopment up to 6.1.
Why?
To facilitate staff time.
I didn't know there had been staff. 6.6 up to the beginning. Is that okay?
Sure.
Further changes to the order of the day, CAO?
Yes. I'd like to add an additional staff report and motion regarding tax exemption for some additional applicants.
Under new business?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is under new business.
Under new business? Is that what you're adding?
That would make sense.
3 new business.
Any other changes to the order of the day? Can I have a motion, please, to approve the order of the day as changed? Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Are there any comments concerning the minutes of the 14th of March? Thank you. Any comments regarding the 22nd of March? Thank you. We'll now move to correspondence on page 8. A very nice thank you from Nancy Price, who has visited us a number of times. Any discussion? Councillor Prout.
It was nice to read the comments that she made. Nice to get a bit of positivity. It's not the first time we have had it, but we don't always have that, so it was nice to see that. Thank you.
Yes. All right, we'll now move to page 11, please. where we see that we'll be paying $3,004,291.08 for RCMP service in 2023-24, and that we will also be losing a credit with regard to the community police service officer, but that will be in the 24-25 fiscal year.
Thank you.
Councillor Gunn.
Thank you, sir. Does this letter cover the retroactive pay from the RCMP? Or has that been dealt with yet? Sure.
No, we're nodding no. We haven't. No, we don't have that yet.
Thank you.
As you know from the recent federal budget, the federal government did not indicate any proclivity toward giving us funds to deal with the retroactivity, and to this date, nor has the province. Now we will deal with item 6.6 on page 167, please.
What page was that?
167.
173. I think.
Granville Street parking is page 167.
No, that's right, sorry.
Councillor Enslow, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, sir.
I move that municipal council approve Granville Street parking redevelopment in the amount of $138,000 to be funded from the proceeds of the sale of the former Bridgetown Town Hall facility.
Thank you. Seconded. Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion. Councillor Prout, followed by Councillor Connell.
I'm referring to page 169. That would be the report from the Environmental Monitoring and Compliance Division. The last paragraph on that page talks about the contamination that was found and the fact that the province of Nova Scotia accepts no liability and no action lies and no proceeding can be brought against the province because of that. Does that mean we're on the hook if we disturb anything there and there's an issue?
Yes.
I'd like to invite.
Yeah, basically what it means is the province, you can see from the message, the plume ran under the road a bit, which is the province's right of way. The province is saying, yes, you can work with the site, but if you find other things, you have to notify us and you might have to do something. The messaging that we've done, we put the curb in, we haven't run into any contamination. We're not going deep in the ground with anything. Okay, it's very shallow. We don't anticipate hitting anything. So it should be, we're hoping everything will be fine. But this is their report to say everything stands down in terms of the contamination issues.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Connell.
I can't support the motion. During the capital budget, we had quite a discussion about this, and I thought we were going to hold a public meeting in the town of Bridgetown because the funds belong to the community of Bridgetown, not just a few. And so I thought, and I asked, but I guess we didn't make a motion on it, but I thought we assumed that there was going to be a public meeting. Some of us did. So the citizens could speak on where that funding was to be spent in the community of Bridgetown. I have worked with contaminated soil, and you don't have to dig very deep. And if you ever sat in an excavator and dig down a foot and hit diesel fuel, it'll bring tears to your eyes. It's unbelievable. I would never believe that contaminated soil will hit you that fast. There is a cleanup if it happens, a costly cleanup, and an I'm assuming that if we ever pave that road and go to put water and sewer in, something's gonna take place anyway, because if there's a plume and it's disturbed, it's gotta be cleaned up. There's a plume underneath the parking lot at transportation, and they stay well away from that plume. They do not do anything around that. I have an issue with the charging stations, or what we're gonna put there as charging stations. I spent an hour on the phone with two young people, my daughter and her husband, that own a Tesla. Last night, I got educated on what's available in Nova Scotia and the ups and downs about electric vehicles. Her last words was to me, they're a lot of work.
They're what?
They're a lot of work. In Nova Scotia, the superchargers are only for Tesla vehicles. They're not for any other vehicle made electric. Tesla only. So you have to go to the level 2s, which that's what I was understood. Most of the level 2s in Nova Scotia charge 40 to 45 kilometers per hour. So if someone was to roll into Bridgetown with an empty tank, they would have to stay there for a suitable amount of hours walking up and down the street to try to get enough to get to Halifax. They're made for top-ups. The province also has a grant out right now. They'll pay 50% of the hardware, 50% of the installation of these stations. And I'd like to know if we've even looked into that, or are we just taking taxpayers' money and spending it? A Tesla topped up will go 500 kilometers. Other cars are topped at 350 to 400 kilometers. That's the range they can go. In a level 2, it takes 5 hours to charge 200 kilometers. Most people that buy electric cars are putting electric into their house. The level 2 charging unit is $650 to put in your house, plus tax, plus installation. So it's around $1,500. But for my daughter to drive her Tesla to the valley, she has to take it out and park it at the hospital, get a ride back to where she's staying for the weekend, and then get a ride back and get her car the next day, because she can't, there's no place, there's 3 charging systems in Middleton. Your app on your phone is connected to your credit card, and when you go to charge in, you got to go into your app and set the charger, and it automatically takes a payment out when whatever you charge your vehicle at. I just think we're jumping the gun on putting units in that parking lot. To me, when you look at Bridgetown, you got the library that's down in the center of town, the grocery store's down that end. You've got the hub. We talk about the hub and hoping that people are going to use it. We got units at the high school that some of us have been told that they're not even hooked up. So should we be pairing with the school system to try to get charging systems up in the school area? I just think that doing this parking lot right now and spending the money and jumping the gun by putting charging units there may not be the proper place to put them. I can't support this motion, and besides that, I would like to hear from the citizens of Bridgetown where they'd like to spend the money that was told to them during dissolution, that if any facility was sold, it was to be spent by the community, not individuals. And that's what I find this parking lot being driven by a small group of people in Bridgetown, and we're not hearing from the citizens. They might want that money spent on their community rate, to get that down, there's stuff of different things. So right now, I will not be supporting that motion.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councillor Enslow.
Thank you. So just a few things. So just feeding off of Councillor Connell's comments about the school, their charging stations are active, but they're only for school use and carpooling for the school. You can go in, you get the card, once you're part of the carpool, and you can charge from that. It's not meant to the open public because the school board pays for that.
So the school board pays for some people.
Yeah, so it's part of their carpool program. But I see on this there was a increase from a level 2 to a level 3 charging station. But my understanding was this whole project wasn't to be a substitution for a gas station. It was just a top-up. So when you're there and you stop for the bank or wherever, that you can plug your car in for a top-up and then go to the next destination. Like my friends that have Teslas and different vehicles, that's what they do. They go to the stop, do what they need to do, get the top up, and then they go do what else they're going to do. They don't use it as their sole source because they charge it at home. Okay. Or they use the charging stations at the Irvings. I think that this is a good project. It seems like a lot of people has been asking for it. I know the Chamber of Commerce is fighting for it. Because the parking lot itself, besides the charging stations, we need to do something with that parking lot. You know, I went in there the other day and I couldn't park because the potholes are so big. And I wasn't taking my wife's car in there. So something needs to be done. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, to answer the question about the charging station. So, level 3 charging station, there's 4 different types. There's a 30, 45, 65 or 60, and a 90. The City of Halifax HRM is putting in a series of, I think, 10 or 15 90 kilowatt charging stations. They're about $100,000 a pop. They will charge your car in an hour, and they will, I think the problem with them is that they will cause extreme heat to your battery system and shorten the life of your battery in your vehicle. So the science is not 100% on this stuff yet. The 30 watt, I talked to the supplier of these stations, and he said a 30 watt charging station will charge a car within 3 to 4 hours, but it's meant to be top up. So you pull in, you charge, it might give you 100 and something kilometers of charge, but that's it. And it's a low level. And it'll be a multi-pronged one, so it can hook up to a Tesla and it can hook up to another type of vehicle. I mean, that's a solution. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. It just saves money. And yes, we'll absolutely apply for any funding that's out there to support the installation of this. I don't know if the gas station has one yet in Middleton, the Petrocan, but they are scheduled to have a charging station there.
Bruce's has got 2.
There's 2 there?
2 at Bruce's, one at the Chef Bread, one at the body shop. Across from Needs, there's 1 or 2 at the hospital.
And I think this was going to be part of the provincial rapid charge network for people that are actually traveling, to your point, Councillor Connell, where people travel and they're running right low and they want to get charged real quick. These would be rapid charging stations. But the person that I was talking to who supplies these things in Nova Scotia and the Maritimes said that the science is not real solid yet. It can lower the life of a battery on these rapid charging stations. A 30 kilowatt one, though, he said, is fine. It's not going to create a problem. But we'll give you that quicker charge.
But I'm just telling you from a kid that owns one, that 5 hours to charge up full. And who's going to sit?
But that wouldn't happen in one of these rapid charging stations. Is that a rapid charging station where they're charged?
Right, that's right at the Tesla, 5 hours. From dead, 5 hours.
Okay, so the information I'm getting is not consistent.
40 minutes. It'll charge full, 5 for at a supercharge.
And what kilowatt is that?
That's the superchargers that the Irvings are putting in and the Teslas are behind it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what the kid does with her vehicle.
Sure.
Drives it day in and day out.
Yeah.
Councillor LeBlanc, followed by Councillor Gunn.
Thank you. I like the information that's being passed around. But my idea of a top-up is I'm going to the grocery store for 20 minutes, but I know that I'm low, so therefore I'm going to go plug it in. Can I leave it in to 20 minutes, and what would I get?
Oh, I don't know how much
No,
to charge.
but-
Yeah.
Right. And number two is there a charge to this?
Yes.
So how do we determine the charge?
The way the stations come out now, the computers are built right into them.
Yeah.
So when you go and charge, it recognizes your car.
Oh, okay.
And it traps it, it tags it through the system where the company would bill you, and then we would get the revenue from the company for the charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
It's not like the one.
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like.
Okay,
Thank you.
Councillor Gunn, please.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I find it very interesting that the Department of Education pays for charging staff's vehicles. And so my comment here is if the science isn't there yet, what are we rushing to put chargers in for? It seems like when, remember, you guys, some of you remember when calculators came out? Remember calculators when they first came out? They were $200-300 for one that would do your adding and subtracting. And as the years went by, they did more and they got the science figured out and they came down in price. So shouldn't we wait a year to see what the science is actually going to do? Electric vehicle. There's 3 of them in my family. These Teslas. They're fast, but they're a lot of work. They're a lot of work keeping them charged, as Councillor Connell says. My brother-in-law comes down. He goes to Annapolis and plugs his in, tries to plug it in overnight, to get it charged up to go back to Halifax. They say electric vehicles are going to be the thing of the future, but I really do query how the old plan is going to keep up with it. And I don't think we should be in too much of a hurry. Thank you. I won't be voting for the putting the Tesla things in. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sheridan, followed by Councillor Longmire.
Just a couple questions in regard. I know nothing about electric vehicles or the charging stations. However, just wanted to ask how many parking lots that would take up. Is it just one charging station, one parking space? And also, the other question is, back to the environment part, if we didn't put the charging stations in, would it be less likely to upset the ground for the environment if we just were to pave it? 2 questions.
I guess, yeah, Paul, Jim.
Yeah, sure, you're not digging into the ground, burying cable and stuff like that, and putting a base in for the station. The proposed location of the charging station was going to be at the back of the parking lot, not where the contamination zones were, so we hope we'd be away from any potential contamination from that perspective. But,
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Longmire, please.
Thank you. I guess I go back and I was a bit concerned about the 95,000 for the pavement. As I was looking at the diagram, it certainly didn't look like it was going to be that involved. And then, as the comments have happened here around the room so far, the cleanup. Nothing has been factored in for that. We don't have any idea what we're going to come up against. And I think that'll be reactive for us if we're not anticipating that there could be something. The potholes there are an issue. And so we're going to have to go and prepare that area properly. And so it will disturb. I can't imagine how it wouldn't. We know about this gas station having been there and all of what happened years ago. But we didn't know about the issue on Queen Street when we did the did the whole refit there. we ended up having to pay out to recover that oil tank or whatever it was. We didn't know about that. We do know about this. So in my opinion, we need to be a little bit slower going on something like this. Although I do appreciate what Councillor Enslow has said. We want this. Of course it needs to be finished up, but we can't just rush into it and not do our due diligence. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson, please.
Yes. Just talking about the electric vehicles. My son happens to have a Tesla, and I guess similar to what Councillor Cotw said, that he goes anywhere, he has to plan his trip. Okay, he charges his home, right? He tops it up, plugs it in every night, and tops it up. But if he's in Toronto, his partner is from Ottawa. So if he's going down to Ottawa, he plans that trip, right? He makes sure that his vehicle is fully topped up before he leaves Toronto. Because if not, he can't make Ottawa. So anyway, in regard to this charging station, can someone tell me, is the revenue generated from those to the installer?
The revenue that's generated comes back to us.
So we put one in, we would get the revenue?
Right.
Okay. Thank you for answering that question. In respect to the charger.
Sorry, your question. We get the revenue. So who pays for the electricity?
The consumer that plugs in and uses electricity, the way I understand it works is, as soon as they plug in, the system identifies their vehicle and the owner of the vehicle. And that's tracked through the computer system. Whoever we would buy the station from, the charging station from, their program would track that, and every month send us revenue for who has used that station. They would collect the revenue and bill the customers, and we would get the revenue from that.
We get 100% of it?
Well, they would take an egg management fee, but we wouldn't get 100% of it. I'm not sure about the breakdown.
Well, if they take a management fee, who pays for the electricity?
The consumer.
But you just said we get the money back.
They pay for it. Oh, I see what you're saying. It'd probably be billed to us then. And then we get the money for it.
Oh, okay.
It's like a net zero.
My daughter's is hooked up to an app, and when she goes, no matter where she goes, she has to plug in that app and identifies the fueling station. And her credit card is hooked to that app. She gets no bill. She gets her deducted right off her credit card when she stopped fueling.
And that municipality gets nothing from this transaction.
I would have to come back with that because I'm not 100% sure. I know that there's revenue that comes back.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, just to finish. In respect to the charger, I guess I don't agree with it. If there's going to be one installed in Bridgetown, I don't think that in that parking lot is really the appropriate spot. I can mention the parking lot at the Sports Hub, right? Down on the north side towards the road. Lots of room there to put a charger in. Wouldn't interfere with anybody at all. And I mention that is that just for the various reasons that people have said around the table. You don't want to disturb the land and so on and so forth. And I guess finally, I guess I have to agree with Councillor Cotw in respect to the citizens of Bridgetown saying and determining where these funds should be used. And that's basically all I'll say.
Thank you. Councillor Laval and then Deputy Warden.
Well, I only had a question that was semi-answered, and it was talked about, if it disturbs the soil, we're taking a risk. So therefore, is there not an appropriate other place in town the community of Bridgetown to place one. We can't always be saying, oh, we have to wait and we have to do this, and because I mean these vehicles are out there and people are expecting to, they need places to charge in. And I was going to mention probably the sports hub, but if somebody comes in and they're wanting to go down, they just have to walk down the road. It's not that far, I guess. Having said that, and looking at the paving that needs to be done from the picture we've been given on page 172, it's the whole parking lot. Everything basically right to the houses or the apartment on the right-hand side. It goes right to that property. So I'm looking at that and thinking, if the prep doesn't destroy or move the soil too much, then it would be completed and we own the whole thing right to the property line, from what I see on this picture. Am I correct to assume that?
Jim's nodding yes.
Yes, okay. That's what I figured.
So we would pave up to the right. You see the right of way that runs between the buildings there in the parking lot?
Yeah.
We could just pave up to the right of way, it's 10-foot buffer.
So, yeah, so when you look at the price, actually I expected it to be more. So from your point of view, the parking area does it have the right stuff that we just have to level it out without disturbing it too much to put the pavement on top of it?
Yes.
Okay. My questions are answered.
Deputy Warden, followed by Councillor Enslow, and then I suggest we think about what we are going to do with this motion. Deputy Warden, please.
First, where do you want to start here? First off, I really dislike this term, the tech's not there yet. Where is the tech going? It's a garbage word term because there's no, it's like having an objective. You can't, you either always succeeded or always haven't succeeded if you don't have an endpoint.
So you would think that term would be analogous to I don't have enough information?
Pretty much.
Similar, yes, you could say that, because when do you have enough information? Absolutely. So like, what are you trying to do with your technology? Are you trying to be as good as a gas engine or not? I mean, this is technology that the premier automotive racing leagues in the world have been using for 10, 15 years. The mining industry was designing mine sites around it 20 years ago. I think the technology is adequate to function in everyday life. As for it being hard to use, the bus system, when I started using it in university, was really hard not to use at first. After 3 years, it was great. Learned to put it in my schedule. It was productive while I did things. You time things in your life to make these things work. As for the paving, the other thing I had there was the first rechargeable batteries I had were these nickel metal hydride things. And they said, whatever you do, don't recharge them until they're dead. And when I started getting lithium batteries on power tools, what do they say? Every time you're not using it, slam it in the charger, so it's always charged. Every time you're not using it, plug it and top it up. Gives you better longevity of your battery. Anyways, back to the paving, I have one question, which is, when I look on page 172 again, we have the inset map, and our curb comes pretty close to our back property line. I would say 6 or 7 feet. And there's a lot more private parking lot there now. Are we, is that right? It just seems like a very small spot behind our curb for our asphalt stuff, right?
Yeah.
Jim, go ahead.
I think the paving that's been measured out is about 1,200 square meters.
Sorry, Mark.
Okay.
3,600 square feet.
Do we own that?
That's going on the property.
Okay. Councillor Enzo moved this motion, and let's assume he wishes to end the discussion.
Yes, sir, I guess. So the only thing that, I do agree with all the points that are going around about the citizen money, but I also want to point out under the motion, or under the staff report, there's an alternative for financial impact, where they put in there that we do not have to really use the sale of the former town hall, but we could use the capital reserve fund or the CCBF fund. We don't have to use that. So the fact that that's stated in there, perhaps we can look at that instead. That's the only thing I want to really point out.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion on the floor, and in accordance with our system of governance, if no one wishes to suggest any alternate path, we will vote on the motion. Councillor Gunn.
I was going to, this recommendation, and I believe this is the one we're working for here, it doesn't say anything about charging stations in the recommendation, the motion.
No.
We're talking about paving the parking lot. That's all we're talking about.
Well, the recommendation does not say that.
Redevelopment.
It says redevelopment.
Well, then, I'm sorry, sir, I must be on the wrong page. I'm on 167.
Yes, and if you go to the recommendation, that municipal council approve Granville Street parking redevelopment.
Okay, sorry, missed that. Well, I would offer a change to that and say that we take out the charging stations out of it somehow, or just
And we have a recommendation that municipal council approve Granville Street parking redevelopment in the amount of $138,000 to be funded from the proceeds of the sale of the former Bridgetown Hall facility, and that has previously been seconded. All in favor of the motion, please say yes, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. All against the motion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The motion is defeated. Thank you. Councillor Cotw.
I'd like to make a motion that we hold a public meeting in the community of Bridgetown to discuss the Granville Street parking development project.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. I'd just like to ask a question. This is a public meeting, and so people from outside the Bridgetown community, which is larger, of course, than the former boundaries of the town, but people outside the Bridgetown community can attend that meeting because they use the parking lot a lot. It's okay.
So it was a public meeting to discuss the parking lot?
Parking lot redevelopment project.
Should you have the funding in there? Because it's coming from the former Bridgetown.
Well, I think at the meeting,
No,
we
the
can ask.
meeting is, okay, that's Councillor motion. Councillor Hudson, are you seconding?
No, I want to make an
We need a
amendment.
second to that motion. Seconded by Councillor Gunn. Discussion, Councillor Hudson.
Yes, I'd just like make an amendment to that. I feel it should be a public meeting to discuss how the funds from the sale of the former Bridgetown Hall should be used.
That's an entirely different subject. But you see, your amendment would say we're going to have a meeting and we're going to discuss where the funds are going to come from.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Whereas the motion is, we're
I'm
having
fine.
a meeting to discuss the project, which in my view inherently would involve money.
Okay, I withdraw my...
Thank you. All in favor, raise your hand, say yes.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The motion is passed. Thank you. Next, we are on page 12. Which is notice of revocation of the ministerial order regarding the West Paradise transfer site. Okay, we're now on page 25. And this tells us that unbeknownst to us, until we were told, $906,532 was deposited in our bank account from the province to be used for a project following guidelines which are fairly identical to the community building program. Councillor Connell, Deputy Warden.
It sure perked my attention, hoping that maybe we can do something with Bear River water.
I thought the same thing.
So I would think that that would be our number one priority before a bunch of other projects jump in the bandwagon.
Thank you. I would echo that thought.
And the CAO has heard the discussion and will read the minutes. Oh, sorry, yes, Deputy Warden.
So a couple years ago, we had a gas tag, not gas tag. We had a doubling of funds from the province. This is different, separate,
Yes,
related.
but I'm sure it's related, it's probably a kissing cousin, but
It's similar, but
thank you. Now we are now on page,
Mr. Warden,
yes,
I'd like to back up if I could to the West Paradise Transfer Station. My question is, why was that revoked?
because the minister in his wisdom
Well,
decided
they
he
must have
should.
had reasons to do it.
He did, because when I first started here, there's a ministerial order outstanding on the site where there's no power there, we can't do anything until we follow the minister's order to go and do an assessment of the site, come up with a remediation plan, submit that plan, get approval for the plan, then the minister would consider lifting the order so we can actually go in and use the site. Right now, we can't use the site. Before that revocation came in, we couldn't do it for anything. We had to turn the power off, we had to do all that. So he gave us that work. We did do all that work. We convinced him that our remediation plan will work, and we're in the process of implementing that plan, which includes monitoring, et cetera, and some other things. And they've given us a green light to turn the power back on so the site becomes active.
That's great.
Because right now it's not. So we needed the revocation or we were dead in the water.
Awesome.
But see, they did approve our plan. It says here, on January 23rd, 2023, we received from the environment approval of our plan, right?
So part of that then is for the minister to digest all that info and send us revocation, because even though they approve the plan, he still has to stand down the order for us to actively work on the site.
Okay, so he has...
It's just a ministerial procedure that we have to follow.
Councillor Bartow.
Just a quick question. After you work, has the reclamation or the work been done so that everything's good on the site? I mean, this seems to be a payroll issue incorporated.
Right.
But we got the revocation of the order, but has the work been completed and approved?
The work's underway, which includes monitoring, continuing to monitor and report. So an independent, they're not letting us do that. Independent third party has to put together a report, and that would be over the next year and a half or so.
So it's ongoing?
It's ongoing, yeah. But that being said, it's ongoing, and they're allowing us to use the site so we can become active out there.
Okay. Okay, Deputy Warden?
I just wanted to point out for the viewing public who maybe haven't read all this yet, that it very nicely points out that the only thing we are allowed to do is our approved reclamation plan. We can't set up a new transfer station or anything like that there. This is not allowed.
Thank you. Page 28, Deputy Warden, please.
I move to authorize the warden and the municipal clerk to submit an application to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board to confirm the number of boundaries of polling districts at 11 and to confirm the number of councillors at 11 pursuant to Section 369 of the Municipal Government Act.
Thank you. Second? Councillor Proud, discussion. Councillor Gunn.
Thank you so much. It was very interesting to read through this. Certainly a lot of paper. My God, the paper. And rehash, actually. And it was very interesting to read the comments in the end of it. Thank you.
I might point out, although there is a difference in population, I think one of our neighboring counties had approximately 250 pages. And if you've had any dealings at all with the Utility and Review Board, you'll realize the necessity for the information. And if you haven't had anything to do with UARB, just look it up and click on any decision and you'll see. Councillor Hensel.
So I have a few citizens in my district that like to read all the stuff before council, which is excellent. And they had some of the same questions I had. I remember getting the thing in the mail about asking to do this, but we only had a 1% turnout. Do we have a plan for when we want to do this in the future to increase that? Or like, do we have lessons learned? Do we have, like, that's my thing is, it seems like...
Hold on, we are dealing with...
No, for sure. I just want to make the point that 1% is extremely low. And to be making decisions, I just wanted to point that out, that 1% is extremely low.
But I hope you're not saying that the individual and collective decision of council was tied to the 1%.
No.
Right.
I just wanted to point out the fact for people that are watching that it was only 1% of people that actually put their voices in. And it's very concerning.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
At election time, there are some people who say it's not democratic if there's an acclamation. And I say, no. The citizenry of a certain district, in their wisdom and after a careful examination, have decided that the person representing them now should be the person. Yeah, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you.
Unopposed.
Unopposed.
One opposed.
Sorry.
Over here.
Councillor Gunn. Thank you. All right, Deputy Warden for the next two, please. Page 149.
I move that municipal council amend AM-1.4.12 tax exemption reduction policy by adding Carlton Road Industries Association AAN 011277057 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Longmire. Discussion. No, Councillor LeBlanc.
I have a question. If this motion passes, this will be in stone or for whatever number of years. Can a motion like this be set for 1 year or 2 years? It's just a question on my part.
Well,
if it was indicated in the motion.
It's,
Can it be done, or is it,
you know, this is in force until council decides otherwise.
that's what I was wondering. Okay,
Yes.
so this will be,
With every grant, with every one of these we do, if council for whatever reason wants to change its mind, then we go through the process.
okay, because of the discussions we had the last time, I wondered about it. Okay, I'm fine.
Councillor Ansel?
I just have more of a confirmation question. So this PID, or this land, is this the workshop area itself or the restaurant? I just want to confirm.
May I invite Ms. Hudson?
It's not the restaurant, it is actually housing
Oh, it's different.
It's
for
what?
residents.
Oh,
347 Main Street.
Thank you.
this is different.
Further discussion?
Housing.
To the gas station.
Councillor Gunn?
Could I have some clarity, please, through you, Warden? Housing for, and some, because is it housing for staff? Is it housing for the people they look after? What housing is it? Is it housing just out there for rent? Well, I would ask through you, sir.
It's housing for the residents.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's for their residents?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
oh, that's a different
Did
story.
you have something else?
Just, it's the building adjacent to the gas station that has the post office in it.
Ah,
Upstairs.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're now on page 161. Deputy Warden, please.
I move that municipal council amend AN-1.2.3 warden and deputy warden policy as revised and circulated 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Hudson. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We are now on 6-1.
No, we did
7 we've done for some reason. I couldn't move that ahead.
173.
yeah.
What is it?
173.
And Councillor Bartow, would you like to do that, please?
Okay, 73. Move that municipal council refer the substantial alteration application for the replacement of the existing green asphalt shingles to black metal roofing material for the St. John's Anglican Church, 694 Highway 201, Moshel, to the Heritage Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. Discussion. All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are now, at page 176. Councillor Gunn, I asked you about that.
That's right, sir. The recommendation,
Do we want two motions?
yes,
If it's written in two, we need two.
Okay.
that's written into
Thank you.
I move that the municipal council authorize staff to proceed with the cleanup of the remains of the structure that was destroyed by fire on March 30th, 2023 at the former Upper Clements Park, with funding to come from operational reserves.
Seconded by Councillor Connell. Discussion. Councillor Sheridan.
We haven't had an update lately on our operational reserves. Is there a way of getting the reserve amount?
Is our manager of finance is looking that up?
Sure. Thank you.
With the operational reserves before the 23-24 budget, so projected end of year 2022-23 would be about 1.4 million. I did speak a little bit in the capital budget process about a surplus from 21-22 financial statements that I will bring forth to audit committee to put, I would say, in the ballpark of 1.5 million back into the operating reserve to get us up into the green for our SCIs.
So you're saying an additional 1.5 million will be going in from the surplus from 21-22
Yes.
budget?
Should the audit committee recommend that to council and council approve, yes.
That's good news.
See what happens when you become chair of the audit committee? Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. Councillor Gunn, please.
I move that municipal council authorize staff to proceed with the demolition of the remaining buildings on the property of the former Upper Clements Park with funds to come from operational reserves.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Sheridan. Discussion, please. Councillor Cotw.
I have a little problem with supporting that motion. I know that we talked several times about hopefully getting a decent value out of that property, and we spoke about the maybe getting upwards of 200,000 out of a stone house that now is to the ground, and we're going to spend 100,000 plus cleaning it up. So when I look at that property, we lost 300 some thousand overnight by someone or something happening to it to be having it burnt down. Is it gonna devalue by tearing down what's left there? Is it gonna take the value of the property down more? Is it valued more with what's there? I don't know. Right now, I have in my own back of my own mind that if one goes up in smoke, maybe the rest probably will follow. That's my fear. But if we sit on it until everything's gone, then what do we got to sell other than just a piece of property? It may not be valued at what we think it is valued at. So I'm very undecided how I should vote on this.
Thank you. Councillor Ensfeld.
Thank you. For the sake of a long discussion, I just really want to echo what Councillor Connell said. I just have a hard time spending even more money on this site. But at the same time, is there a fire risk? I'm really undecided.
Thank you. Deputy Warden, Councillor Gunn, Councillor Hudson.
Can we get a little more description of what these existing buildings are?
Yes, please.
It's two buildings that were left from the demolition that were part of the park operations. There was a building that was a machine shop and then another general storage building. They're both simple frame buildings on a concrete slab. So if they were demolished, we would leave the concrete slab and just demolish the wood structure. They're probably not high dollar value buildings. They've both been significantly vandalized. And we're currently spending money constantly repairing and reboarding them up. And even finding that the plywood we're putting on to board them up is being stolen. So they're not high. If we demolish them, we would not be making I don't think we'd be making a significant difference to the value of the property. They're not high dollar value buildings. At this point, we brought this to you because we're just simply worried that they're becoming an ongoing burden, work expense, and increasing risk and liability.
I have Councillor Gunn, Councillor Hudson, Councillor LeBlanc, Councillor Berto. Councillor Gunn, please.
Thank you so much. A couple of questions. One question in particular, and it really bothers me to this day, that we've never had cameras down there, some sort of security down at that part. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to me. In today's world, with all this technology, we got electric cars, we've got cameras that you can plop here and tie them into your cell phone, and your security is on. I don't know why that is. But when it comes to the building, we can either take them down or somebody's gonna burn them down. Simple as that. It'd be cheaper if somebody burned them down. My next question would be, and I don't want to keep going on, my next question would be, was there any insurance? Did we get any insurance from that house? And maybe that's an in-camera item, sir, so maybe. No?
The answer is there was no insurance on that building.
There was no insurance on that property, just liability, I hope.
Yes, oh yeah, our general liability applies to everything, yes.
My understanding, Councillor Gunn, is that there was insurance, but at the time of the fire, there was no insurance.
There you go. Thank you so much.
Okay, Councillor Hudson, please.
Oh, yeah, I was just on the same, what Councillor Gunn was talking about the non-insurance. So when was that canceled then?
Well, I guess if we want to, we did research that. We could give you more details, but I would recommend we do it in camera. It starts to get specific and.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor LeBlanc?
I guess I have some of my questions already answered. But to be more specific, the workshop you're talking about, is that the one that would be closest to where I guess they would call the main office, where the general manager would work? Like in that area?
They're at the east end near the east exit. You can probably see them from one when you go by when there's no leaves on the trees.
So it's those two buildings?
Yes.
Oh. All right.
They used to have red roofs. I don't know if that red metal is still there or if it's been stripped, but.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's very disappointing to think that people would demolish things that, cost money to them or relatives around the county. But in any case, it is what it is. We have to decide.
Thank you. Councillor Bartow, please.
I guess my concern is sometimes too quick to spending money. I like to conserve, like if there's a hazard, you gotta get rid of it, whatever. But have we contemplated or considered putting it out there where it's conserve people have to be? I know when the park was closed originally, there was interest in buildings. People could come in and tear them down, take them away, and repurpose the material. If we can do that, then it's not going to cost us $50,000 that's budgeted here.
I agree.
It's a good thought.
So also it's got liability.
Liability would be a problem.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Bartow. That has not been looked at. I wasn't here when all this excitement took place, but I want to make council aware, we are opening trails this coming year on the other side of the road. And I'm not sure how many councillors have been on the back side of the road and see the buildings that are back there. There's a whole series of buildings back there that stored, I think, the individual, the veterinarian who looked after all the animals, and food storage, and a large washroom facility that we continually board up, and continually plywood is removed. And to tell you the truth, I said to my guys, I said, well, why don't we pick up this facility and move it to the sports hub? Because it is a nice washroom facility. Wheelchair accessible, the whole 9 yards. But now everything inside it's been damaged. The plywood's been ripped off that we put up, etc. So there's buildings on the north side, but there's also buildings on the south side. The public can't see, but when they start riding the bike trails and stuff like that, they're going to start seeing these other buildings. So there may be an opportunity, as Councillor Bartow pointed out, potentially call a tender to remove these buildings for repurposing, etc.
Would that require just continuing from would this be an appropriate time to put an amendment to a motion? Or we refer back to staff to contemplate that? Because the motion is to spend this money and tear them down. And I don't agree with that.
No.
And so would this be an appropriate time to put a motion in to amend that or to refer it back to staff?
Yeah.
with this new information.
You can do
It's
whatever.
your call.
Yeah, but you,
You have the floor, Councillor Barto.
I'd like to refer it back to staff to follow up on the new information. I would make that motion.
Motion is,
To refer back to staff.
The motion's already
Yes.
on the
Is
table.
refer the right word?
To do what?
to do what?
To
Look at other options.
look at other options as to the disposal of these structures, as per the conversations.
at the property of the at the property.
Now, yeah, that probably, this only refers to those two buildings that are there. If it expands,
Hold on until we get the wording of your amendment. And it's under refer.
Refer back to staff to, I'm sorry, my computer was frozen. To explore other options.
for the disposal of these facilities, these structures.
What are these structures?
It's only those that are in this motion that I can
Hold on.
talk about
Yes.
right now.
Okay, is there a seconder?
Well, could we hear the motion?
I haven't heard the
We haven't heard them.
Okay,
And it's a amendment, right?
no, it's a motion to
It's a motion
refer.
to refer back to staff to explore other options for the disposal of these structures.
What happened to the motion that was on the table?
This takes precedent.
It takes precedence.
Okay, then,
I'll second it.
I'm not sure.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Enslow. Discussion on the motion to refer.
Sir,
Councillor Gunn.
thank you so much. And I'm glad we're getting this straightened out, because I thought when they were talking about tearing these buildings down on the north side of the highway, that,
Councillor Gunn, do you agree with deferring the motion or not?
I've got something to say that refers back to what somebody else on staff has already said, sir. And you encourage Councillor Bardo to make a new motion while setting aside the old motion. And I'm just a little bit mixed up here, sir, as to what is exactly happening here, because we didn't finish out with the second motion I made. And you've allowed another councillor to put another motion on the table, and we haven't finished with the old one. And some of us might have had something to say on the old motion.
Thank you. Further discussion on the motion to defer, Deputy Ward.
I'm against a motion to refer. I think we're quite capable and better suited to make an amendment to the original motion and not delay this matter that is somewhat time sensitive for a number of reasons I won't get into it, as they're not part of the referral.
Thank you. All in favor? Councillor Barto, you're closing the debate?
Yes, please. When we say time sensitive, I just picked up on that word. This has been, we've been sitting here for years under the same thing. Time sensitive, is a day or two going to make the difference right now? If you have people that are coming out to do the dirty deeds that they have been doing, then maybe yes. But this has been a matter that's been sitting there for a while. And to refer it back to have other alternatives, if I can say it that way, I don't think it's a bad thing at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, CAO.
To help council with some of the comments I'm hearing, we put quotes in here that we thought were worst case scenarios so that we could give you something to approve something so that we knew we could work within it. It's obvious we would do everything possible to consider look for quotes that consider if there is any salvage value of the materials, if it could be taken apart and moved somewhere. I don't know if Jim would want to, I'm putting you on the spot, Jim, if you have any comments on that with your expertise. It's old weathered material, so I'm not sure how much salvage value there is. It probably is. It may be just a pure demolition and removal to a C&D site.
We're talking about referring to staff. All right, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of referring to staff, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All opposed? 1, 2, 3. You're opposed? Okay, we have to start again because we had 7 in favor, but only 3 opposed.
Did you vote yourself?
Yes. Okay, all those in favor of referring, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All those against referring, 1, 2, 3.
I said still, sir, I'm not even sure what I'm voting on because we didn't deal with one motion before.
Favor according to your policy.
Thank you. That counts as an in favor vote according to our rules. The motion is adopted.
Can I just make one comment?
Yes.
Would it be possible for this, excuse me, the councilors to go down and have a viewing of the upper Clements sometimes just so we can visually see what the buildings are? Because right now, I assume we can't get in because it's gated or tied off.
Everybody else can.
The whole world gets in, including families with shopping carts.
I'd like to go in and-
Well, would you like to make a motion?
No, I'll just leave it and maybe we can, if we're allowed to go in, we can go in.
Yeah, just go in. Everybody else does.
Are we allowed?
Do we want to organize it?
No. Council Sheridan said.
Well,
we have dispensed with that subject unless it's your will to open it again. Thank you. Page 180. Deputy Warden, please.
You want 2 motions here? There's an and, which we just...
Yeah, 2 separate motions.
Okay.
I move that municipal council authorize an increase to the county sewer rate of 2%, resulting in a flat rate annual charge of $590.39 per equivalent unit.
Thank you. Seconded by?
well, we need to discuss it.
No seconder? The motion is
Discuss.
We need to discuss it.
Councillor Enzo seconds. Discussion. Councillor Enzo.
So whenever we're asking for an increase is always, not a good thing for the citizens. But the question I have is the way that we do the county sewer and the Bridgetown is opposite. Are the members in the county paying less overall for sewer than the people that live in Bridgetown? On average, do we know that?
For sewer services, no. The Bridgetown residents actually pay less for sewer services than the county residents.
Not sure that's the answer you were looking for.
It really wasn't. It was kind of a, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. You took the fire route. That's all right.
So So should we raise it?
Further discussion?
No.
Councillor Sheridan.
So just clarification, if I may, because I asked this question last month and I was told that the rates would not be going up this year, so I'm a little confused as to all of a sudden now they're going up.
I don't believe I indicated that the rates weren't going up. I believe I indicated that we were looking into the calculation of the rates and modeling them. With the request last year that was not completed for this year to merge the two sewer bylaws and to kind of equate what Bridgetown is paying and what the county residents are paying, we are doing work to make sure that that happens for next year. So in the interim basis, because we don't have anything solid to go on right now, what we're suggesting is a 2% increase as a result of inflation. So the most recent inflation was 6.5%. So our cost of providing that service is increasing. So I think it's most prudent to increase our rates at least a little bit so that we offset our increased costs rather than accepting no increase, because then in the future we'll have to accept a larger increase to catch up. So that's kind of the basis for that.
And that's what I was getting at, because I always said they went out in February, and you said, I can't quote you because I haven't gone back and looked, but you had mentioned that they wouldn't be going up because you were going to look at the study and you were going to leave them as is, as what I understood. I could be wrong. But anyway, I don't have a problem with it. I just want clarity because it was...
Oh, okay, thank you. There was no change in the February billing, is what I indicated for the next billing for the Bridgetown. Shelley, help me out there.
Bridgetown will bill in April, but it's for the last quarter.
There, so those are on the prior year
January,
rates.
February, March.
So the county as a whole is on last year's rate? Is that, no?
No, just Bridgetown is, yeah. That's
Okay.
the confusing part about the two bylaws and the fact that we bill quarterly for Bridgetown and annually for the county.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Councillor Bartow, Councillor Cotw, Deputy Warden.
I guess hearing some of the comments and because of fairness, so that everybody in the county it is paying two different levels for similar service. It's my understanding that because of the lack of sufficient data at this point, that's not being done, but then 2% is being added to both the county and the town of Bridgetown, and that will be worked out in the coming year.
Commissioner,
Over here.
Yeah.
thank you. CEO.
Just my hearing, I gotta turn direction. Sorry, yes, please.
That's correct. Over the next year, yes, we will be doing operating forecasts. One item that we got more sophisticated on in this budget is the amount of staff time that public works staff are spending on the sewer projects as opposed to the levy-based projects like roads and stuff like that. So yes, operating forecast will be capital forecasting for the infrastructure needs for both Bridgetown and the county, and then factoring in inflation and coming up with a rate structure that supports the operation and capital replacement for the sewer system so that they are self-sustained by the rates. So yes, this 2% is sort of an interim. We're going to get there. We don't have it yet, but we do need to do our best, and our cost of is increasing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cotw, please.
All I heard out of that Bridgetown's getting a better deal.
What did you say?
Again. There's his word.
Deputy Warden, please.
It took the fire out.
In some parliaments and legislatures, there are those who believe that you should not ask a question unless you know the answer.
I thought I did, but
Deputy Warden.
To that point, I'm trying to structure my question appropriately. So if we were to not pass the 2%, would we still have a balanced budget for our sewer utility?
Yes, it would result in a reduction to the transfer to reserve, and the transfer to reserve in the sewer budgets are for capital replacement. So it just means that we have available for capital replacement for the infrastructure.
And our capital reserve currently is good, bad?
We're looking it up.
So
Is there an opinion?
The sewer
It
reserve.
could use additional contributions, especially if we want to start in place in the infrastructure and with the aging structure that is in Bridgetown as well. So this budget, you'll see coming, has increased transfers to reserve to kind of support that, but we do need to sophisticate our capital forecasting so we can get an exact, what do we need for annual replacement of our capital infrastructure.
Thank you. You are. Councillor Hudson?
Yes, I just want to make everyone aware if they don't know this, but in Bridgetown, and I'm talking about the Bridgetown community, right? There are areas in and around Bridgetown that are serviced by water and sewer, okay? That pay on the basis of the 590.39 and not the usage calculation, right? And I think that some work has to be done, to bring those into a uniform map, right? To me, if you're being serviced with water and sewer, the rate should be the same, right? Just because I live in town proper, whereas someone that lives over in the Carroll Quarter that are sort of the same as I am, I don't know why there should be a difference in how we're charged.
Thank you. Further discussion?
Sir.
Councillor
Thank you so much. And I need clarity on what Councillor Connell or Hudson was just saying there. And if somebody could clear it up for me. We have one utility in the Bridgetown area, and are you telling me that Carlton Corner pays a different rate than Bridgetown proper? And if that's so, that's not right, because it's all serviced by the same utility. So anyway, I'll leave it there. That doesn't seem right to me at all. That's wrong.
Thank you. Councillor Bartow.
Is there equal, do they both have sewer and water, or does one only have sewer and the other one?
I don't see a searching on your contacts. What do you want to know?
They're listening.
Sorry, I hadn't talked to her for a while. She misses me. Where were we?
We were with you.
Anyway, if there's a difference that way, and if the town generally is calculated based on water flow rates for their sewer versus out in those peripheral areas, they're based on only the sewer, they can't be calculated the same for that reason. I think that's what I'm gleaning back from past discussions on the services.
Thank you. Councillor Hudson?
Yeah.
Water going in and out.
What I'm talking about, they are serviced both with sewer and water.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they should be.
Thank you.
But they're not.
Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Motion passed. Thank you very much, Deputy Warden.
I move that municipal council authorize an increase to the Bridgetown sewer rate of 2% to both the base and variable rates, resulting in a base rate of $13.08 per quarter and $2.12 per cubic meter.
Thank you. Seconded by
I'll second that.
Councillor Sheridan. Discussion? Councillor Gunn.
Thank you so much. Could somebody explain that to me? That statement. The variable rates resulting in a base rate. I don't understand it. There's a lot of those that I just don't understand. And for me to vote on anything, I think I should be able to understand it.
On our utilities, if you read your bill, there is a base rate that would apply to you if you didn't take 1 ounce of water, and then you get charged for the water you take. It's a base rate and a variable rate. Utilities have gone to that in recent years as a way of dealing with the capital costs. Councillor Hudson?
Yeah, maybe if I add a word of clarification there. How it works is it's exactly the same as the warden said. You pay a base rate,
Sure,
whether you use a drop of water or not. But the variable part of it is that your sewer charge is based on the water that going into your home. So that's the variable part, right? So like 1 month, I could use 50 cubic meters, right? The next month, I'm on vacation, I only use 10. So, there would be a significant difference in my bills for those 2 periods because my water consumption, is way less, right? So that's the variable part, is the water consumption side of it. Because if they figure that you're bringing so much water coming in, so much of it's going back out into the sewer.
Thank you. Your pleasure.
Councilor Gunn?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Warden. And if I could make the statement that seems completely inappropriate way to bill based on a lot of people use water for other things. It's not going into the sewer. Right? It's like my mother-in-law. She spends most of her water on the garden. Right? But, she still, but what water's going into her place is charged for sewer as well.
Depends
so
on
it's inequitable the way it's set up. Thank you.
Councilor LeBlanc.
So I just have a question. Do all of the residents, including Carlton Corner, have meters?
Water meters?
Water meters?
No.
Not in Carlton.
Good shape.
Which town you have for what?
For sewer, for water, not for sewer.
Not for sewer. Interesting.
Yeah, it's based off the water usage stuff.
Okay.
Questions?
All in favor?
Yes.
Motion is passed. Thank you. We are now, I think, on page 182. Deputy Warden, please.
I move that Municipal Council provide a letter of awareness to the Lawrencetown Exhibition Youth Arena to accompany their 2023-2024 Recreation Facility Development Grant application, noting that no funding has been requested from the municipality for their warm room extension and insulation project.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilor LeBlanc. Now let's see what's going to happen, if I think what's going to happen. Any discussion?
Right here.
Councilor Gunn.
Thank you so much. Did I just hear that noting that no funding has been requested from the municipality, but when I go down here in the discussion part of it, it says that 1/3 is coming from the municipality. And, listen, I think it's a great...
No, sorry, it does not say that.
That's not what it says? Okay,
No.
correct me, please.
Yes, please. If you look at that paragraph,
Okay.
and you go over to the comma, and they intend.
To request.
It is their intention. They have not asked.
I just haven't asked yet.
Yes, but they intend to do so.
They intend to, but they just haven't yet.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
thank you.
comma.
Yeah, the importance of a comma. Thank you.
If I haven't preached about the Rogers comma,
No, you have.
Councilor
So I'm sure that their intentions is to extend this warm room extension to be accessible to everyone. So I'll be waiting to see that.
Thank you.
I agree with this.
Further comments?
Great job.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. We are now on page 184. Trans-County Transportation Society. Comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. We're on page 185. Councilor Bartow. Welcome back to our Committee of the Whole meeting. We're now on page 185 and following. and I would like to ask Councillor Bartow to introduce this item, please.
Yeah, this is two motions on this page. First one, move that municipal council requests the Minister of Public Works to review the speed limit of 80 kilometers and the passing zone approaching the community of Granville Ferry and Victoria Beach with a view to eliminate the passing lane and/or reduce the speed on this approach, and to review the speed limit in the community of Granville Ferry.
Is there a seconder for that motion? Councillor Longmire. I have I've read this. You want the speed limit of 80 kilometers. First of all, is there a difference between the passing zone and the passing lane?
It should be zone, not lane.
Okay.
Because there's
All right, we'll just say that's there.
yeah. And this is all
From the-
brought forward from community resident complaints. And there is a couple emails that were attached to this.
Yes.
It's
Yep.
got some background.
So, in essence, we are asking the Minister of Public Works
To review.
for something, and we hope that the minister will eliminate the passing zone or reduce the speed.
Problem being,
No, that's what we're
Yeah,
asking.
yes.
Okay. And we want the minister to review the speed limit in the community of Granville Ferry, but there's no intent. You simply want the minister to review it. And the minister will say, I've reviewed it. Thank you very much.
this is based on citizens' concerns.
Okay, all right. Discussion. Councillor Connell.
I understand from some of the emails and stuff that I understand about the passing zone and the speed limit should have gradually went down before it came into the approach to the village or Granville Ferry. My concern is that sitting around this table for many years ago, people from Granville Ferry came in and said they were very special. They're no more special than anybody else in our county. My people in Margarettsville are very special too. And the speed limits on the highways, which is owned by the province, is dictated by the province. And other areas have justified and got the support from the province to lower their speed limits. So I'm for the request, but I just want to make sure that some people have to understand they're no more important than the other people in our communities. We all have speeders. I live at the crown of a hill, and I can tell you that you don't back out of my driveway without looking about 20 times because they fly. I'm probably one of them when I go down the road, go by my house. But a reasonable rate of speed, people have to be satisfied with. And a lot of times, individuals look at the driveway and say, holy rat, and that guy was doing 120 kilometers an hour. Without a radar gun, without any professional technology on speeding, but they know how fast that driver was going. So I'm for the request, and I'm hoping that they will look at the passing lane because that encourages speeding. Because if I'm going to pass somebody who's coming into a slow area, and I know they're going to go slower, I'm probably going to try to pass them before I get there. But I just want to make sure that people understand that we have areas all through our county counties that houses are close to the road, Nicktoll Falls, Margaspole, through the community of Port George, houses are right next to the road.
Clarence.
Hardly enough to pull their vehicles off the pavement to park in their existing driveways. So we have these areas all through our county, and everyone is very important.
Thank you. And I know that it's the same in Cornwallis Park about speeding through the park. And a couple of years ago, I had a woman come to me and say, I want you to do something about that speed limit. And I said, well, it's now 50. Would you like it to be 40? She said, I want it to be 80. I just got a fine of $250. Further discussion.
Right here.
Councilor Gunn.
Thank you so much. You know, I believe the signs in Granville Ferry have done a good job. I travel that road every day, and I've been traveling that road pretty much my whole life. And I've noticed that that sign, which flashes even if you're doing like in your mid-40s, kilometers per hour, that sign will start flashing at you. And it slows people down. You get something flashing out. Now, I do agree that perhaps it should be moved a little closer to where you turn down before the crosswalk. You know, that flashes before the crosswalk. I kind of agree. But there's a lot of people who have moved to Granville through the years here that have taken over a lot of small little shops. They were day shops, you know, for years. Now they're homes. People have moved in and they've built these tiny little buildings into homes, and people are parking their cars between the front of their places and the highway, facing in the opposite direction. I'm surprised the RCMP hasn't got after them yet over that. But I think the signs have done a good job. Send a letter to I'm all for sending a letter if that's what the thing is. Send a letter and get them to look at it, but I think the signs have done a good job over there. And the flashing sign, if it was moved, probably even do a better job. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion. Councillor Uval, please.
I'm all in favor of this. My question is, are they to report to us when they have made their decision?
We will, if council passes this, we will be making the request to the Minister of Public Works, and I would imagine the Minister will reply to our letter.
And should this motion be CC'd or this information to any other person in the county?
I don't know.
Tony Harvey or somebody?
Pardon me?
To Tony Harvey as well?
Sure.
Well, I'm just questioning.
It'll be.
I would think he'd get the work done because he's going to be
He
told.
won't have any decision on what this meeting
No.
But we can let him know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can send him a copy.
Okay.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6 minutes.
Motion 2. Move to recommend staff review information from the community and make a recommendation back to the June Committee of the Whole regarding the placement of electronic speed signs in the community of Granville Ferry.
Thank you. Second for that motion? You always fill in the briefs. Thank you. Councillor Longmire. I have a question, Councillor Longmire. Councillor Berto. Where is the information from the community that you wish the staff to review?
There's an attached email.
And that's the, to use a Joe Clark word, that's the totality of the information you wish the staff to review.
That's substantial information to indicate the concerns.
All right, thank you. Discussion. Deputy Warden, Councillor Pro.
I guess my question is, do you want them to review any other information about where to put speed signs? It says this currently says we're asking them only to review that information. And, I think they should probably have a little broader view than just the reports from the public.
Does that indicate an amendment to the motion?
No, but like I said, I want to amend it if that was the case. I would have indicated I wanted to amend it if I wanted to make an amendment.
And where would you have staff find this information, this additional information?
I'm at the point where I don't know what I don't know, so it's very hard for me to indicate where to go find the information I don't know exists.
Thank you. Councillor Pro, please.
Thank you. I read the two emails and I had a comment. I'll put my comment on the second one on page 187 first. Fourth sentence down. I can testify without doubt the single radar sign presently installed on the North Road facing traffic in the village has made zero difference. I find we have words from Councillor Gunn who says that he thinks the signs have made a difference, and I would think there would have been some difference. And I guess the email on page 186. The second paragraph, go back in history for the Granville Road. It was a walking road for the first immigrants who landed in our amazing country. Small homes were built by the path, horses rode the roads. Time evolved, more homes, driveways, people, but the road never changed its course. They're looking to change the course. I guess I thought of a lot of things and made quite substantial notes. Would people there prefer the road be widened and straightened with parts of properties being expropriated by the province and buildings torn down or relocated? Like there's a lot there if you take it to the nth degree of what is being stated.
And I suggest if you look at the last word in that sentence, you might even say they're looking to have the road smooth.
Yes. So anyway, I don't know. I know for people who live in places like that, and as Councillor Connell has said, we have areas all around the county where speeding. I think the county's doing what we can to try to address it with signage that our Public Works Department is getting up to speed and planning on putting around and moving around signage. The speed signage. But to take it to the nth degree here, there's a lot. Be careful what you wish for sometimes. I guess that's all. Man, maybe it just sort of came to mind when I read it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll put a semicolon here. It's 11 o'clock and we will move to the three presentations that we have here today. And the first one is from Acadian Sea Plants and the General Manager of Acadian Sea Plants at Wallace Park, Peter James.
Thank you very much. So 10 minutes. I will do my best to keep it under 10 minutes.
Eric's got a big fork.
All right, good. You might need that.
Space bar to move ahead.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so if I can just ask you to take one of these. This is part of the presentation. If you'd like to take one of these and pass it on. Thank you very much. Okay, so I did a presentation recently to the Cornwallis Park Planning Subcommittee, and Alex asked me to come here to present to this group, so here I am. Really, it's to cover Acadian Sea Plants, a little bit of history on Acadian Sea Plants, and obviously some of the aspects to consider when looking at the rezoning of Cornwallis Park. So my name is Peter James. I'm the DeVoe Centre Director of Operations. I've been with the company for 6 years, and I got to say, they're a great company. So I'm going to cover who Acadian Sea Plants are, community partnerships, our growth today, the future, projects, investments in coming years, and requests for consideration. A lot of slides. I'm going to talk fast. I'm going to try to get through it all. If you have any questions, if you'd like to keep them to the end. The early days of Acadian Seed Plants, 1981, one product, one customer, no added value, baled Irish moss, that's what they produced. In 1986, there was one sales and marketing person. Today, Acadian Seed Plants has 74 technical sales representatives in 22 countries around the world. Nova Scotia personnel travel around the world to support our customers, including 12 technical marketing specialists and 20 technical sales promoters. Acadian Seed Plants is a biotech export company. I'll come on to the product shortly. World leader in marine plant biotech. Has greater than 50 years experience in the global seaweed industry. Employs over 400 people in 22 countries, over 600 harvesters globally, and has created a global seaweed industry within Canada. We sustain and harvests our process. I always get that wrong. We sustain, harvests, and process seaweeds from the ocean, grow and produce seaweeds on land. We value-add products, all derived from seaweed, and the products are for people, animals, and plants, and we export to over 80 countries. So this is us as we currently are: Columbia Falls, Penfield, New Brunswick, Cornwallis, plus the R&D Centre, Yarmouth, Charlesville, Dartmouth, Thorvin, USA, Republic of Ireland, Aramara, Malvern in the UK, Glenside Group in the UK, and Uist in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland. So we're spread pretty much where the seaweed grows, which is all across the North Atlantic. The main divisions that we have, you should recognize this one. This is the DeVoe Centre in Cornwallis Park. And what we produce is seaweed extract for products for global agriculture and horticultural markets. So it's a liquid nutrient that is applied to lots of crops across the world. In terms of Charlesville is the world's largest on-land commercial seaweed cultivation site, 53 cultivation ponds covering across 8 acres. Wow. And what they produce is actually one product. Cornwallis Park actually produces quite a range of products, but at Charlesville they produce one product for the Japanese market, cultivated seaweeds for the Japanese food market. So it's an interesting place. It's all homegrown. This actually starts off as a small couple of grains in Cornwallis Park. We grow it initially up to about 25 kilos in our development centre. Then we ship it down to all those ponds that you see, and then it expands through the year and it fills all those ponds. So it's a homegrown product. It's nothing actually taken from.
And you start that every time you start with those tiny grains.
I got a 1-ton bag, and that's going to last us probably 100 years. Because we literally take a small speck of it, and then we fill it into a tub, and then we transfer it to a tote. And once we fill that tote, then we take it down to these ponds, and then we fill those 53 ponds that you saw there. Do I get a time off for that? Because I was
yes.
So Yarmouth is one of our other major facilities, and what you'll see here, as you'll see in the Penfield site, is you see these rows and rows of seaweed. And what we do is through the summer, we're just getting into the summer now, we harvest fresh weed, we take it to our facility fresh, and we process it. We actually get a good yield that way, but through the winter, we don't get many people going out harvesting seaweed, so we have to compensate for that by drying a lot of the seaweed. So we dry this pretty much the same as you would dry hay. So anyone that's done any farming work, we dry it, we turn it, we put it through the facility, we crunch it up a little bit and put it in bags, store it, and then all through the winter, because we're a 365 days a year, 24/7 facility, all the way through the winter we keep our production going at a level rate. You'll see a couple of other products here, dulse and a few other things, but primarily what Yarmouth does is manufacture product for the Cornwallis plant. Similarly for Penfield, these are the old Air Force bases that you can see here, or the old airports, but the same facility, but just a similar facility, but in New Brunswick. So the idea of the little product that I gave you there is actually an example of one of the products that's made by one of our customers, and our product goes into it. So for a lot of our products, you'll see we make a product that actually goes into things like soaps, hand creams, etc. We don't make beer, which is unfortunate, but we make various things that go into the process of making beer that help and support a lot of other industries apart from the products that we make directly. A lot of our products also go into global animal feeds, Tasco and Acadian Kelp being two of them. Our Ireland facility was bought in 2014, a relatively small facility in Ireland, but again, it manufactures a similar range of products as does the one in the Outer Hebrides. And you can see the product is always the same, or what we're using, Ascophyllum nodosum. It's the seaweed that's very common around the North Atlantic. So this is just to show you how big our team is. This is just part of our Latin America team that exports to over 80 countries around the world in every single language that you can imagine. Research and development. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. Okay. So this is to ensure our sustainability and our competitive edge. We've got to prove what we produce does what it says on the can. So we work with quite a few people, and we certainly manage our resource environmentally responsibly. We have a 16-member international resource management team and an 8-member science department. These are the main 4 PhDs that work for us to ensure that we're ahead of the game. And within that, we also do a significant volume of R&D. Partnership is power, so people, knowledge, equipment, and labs stretch across not just the Atlantic Canada, but also across the whole of Canada, whether it's Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick. Our partners in the USA, again, nearly every university that you can imagine across the state, international partners. So whether it's Ireland, the Windies, Brazil, the UK, Australia, Chile, we have a lot of partners doing a lot of research and development constantly to ensure we're ahead of the game. And then one of the things that we do within that is then we start to look at the formulations of the products that we want to make, and we do this mainly in our newly established facility in 2021 in the UK, in England. And once we're happy with that product, we start to do the applied research work, which is done at the Cotw Centre, which is in Cornwallis Park. These are just some of the awards that we have received over the years. The 2 main ones that we're particularly proud of is the Mainstay Award, is Excellence in Workplace Safety. Safety is always number 1 within our facility. And the Nova Scotia Environmental Award. One of the things, obviously, Acadian Sea Plants has to do is ensure that however much seaweed we take out this year, we have to make sure there's at least that amount of product there for next year. So it has to be sustainable. If we take too much out on any particular space, on any particular time, it would deplete that region, and then we wouldn't be able to continue and expand over the years. So within our community, we do a lot of partnership work. So this is mainly homing in now on the DeVoe Centre. So these are the main fire chiefs. I think the ones that Andrew Cranton would be the one for Annapolis Royal. So we work with those guys, and we do various things. Smith's Cove recently, we gave them infrared detector for looking at hot spots within a fire to look for cats, animals, people, burning embers, etc. But we've supported these regularly through the years. We continue to support our community. Head office covers Province, Canada. The DeVoe Centre focuses more on local community activities, very much between Annapolis and Digby. Some of the ones we've supported in the last year: Basin Tidal, Beach Park, the fire departments, Digby Food Bank, etc. There are quite a lot that we support over the years. Digby Splash Park, we've got a good friend recently. All the local ones, the Falco Halls, the Lions Clubs, the Legions. We work with them for best benefit to try to make sure that they're well supported. There's the funny shots. I think this is a good one, not the old car. Jaws of Death, Jaws of Life, Jaws of Death. Jaws of Life, they're going to be practicing with that tonight. I'm a member of the Smiths Cove Fire Department volunteer group, so we're going to have another practice with that. So it's a useful tool that Acadian Sea Plants purchased for them last year. So in terms of dollars, it's always nice to try to put a dollar value to some of the things that we do. So we put over $50,000 a year to community support working with those groups. Each month we're spending over $100,000 with local contractors. Roughly, we've paid $4.7 million in taxes to the municipality since 2010. And over $20 million on Cornwallis expenses this year, mostly within Nova Scotia, many within the Annapolis Valley itself. We very much try to focus on local production. If there's a company local that can provide it, we certainly try to work with those companies to ensure that we can take them forward with us. So our future. So this is where we've come from. This is our volumes that we've produced year on year on year. We had a little bit of a lull. 2022 was a record year. 2023 was a record year. And we're now coming into 2024. And you can see going forward, the sales are looking like they're going to be doubling every 3 years. So our expansion over the coming years is significant. And part of that is a lot of the projects that we're looking at doing. You can see the increases that we're putting in place, 33%, 100, etc. But this is important, the new tech. Any good company within a certain amount of time has to introduce new tech to make sure they're competitive and stay keeping ahead of the game. We currently employ over 100 people. We're an established, solid, reliable employer with benefits after 90 days. We're steadily recruiting to increase permanent heads as expansion happens. Our roles range from entry-level roles to Red Seal qualified, and there's a steady drift towards higher-paying roles. In terms of investment, Acadian Sea Plants has invested heavily in Cornwallis Park, sustaining local employment for many, many years. Acadian Sea Plants with ACOA and Invest Nova Scotia will be investing over $30 million over the next 5 years in the DeVoe Centre at Cornwallis Park. And Acadian Sea Plants has always set and maintains a high standard on maintenance and the upkeep of their buildings. So one of the things that, particularly for the committee that I presented to, was a request for consideration when looking at the rezoning, was the safety. With the doubling of production, we get the doubling of containers, employee access, gas and oil deliveries, chemical deliveries, traffic, etc. This is something that we need to certainly consider when we're looking at our facility. Noise. We're not looking at any increase in noise in our facility, but obviously as volumes increase, the frequency of that noise will increase. Safety. We have a requirement to keep our neighbours happy and a duty of care, and we want to avoid any conflict going forward. Keeping main public access away from the site will help with all aspects of safety. Purchase of the drill hall has been offered to the ABCC to assist in maintaining a safe zone. And new residents will not be happy with an industrial area on their doorsteps. It's just a consideration for that committee to think about. And then looking at how we expand in the future. Most force bases have developments have had a strict delineation between residential and industrial.
Getting close, Peter.
Literally on the last couple of slides. So this is our facility, and here are our areas of concern. And they're mainly in and around diesel tanks, chemical storage, propane tanks, furnace oil, etc. So what I've done on the map of Cornwallis Park, you can see this is Acadian Sea Plants. This is actually the property zoned by Acadian Sea Plants. These are the main issues in and around what we have within our site. And this is the traffic, and this is what we're going to see expand significantly year on year on year going forward. And this is one of our major considerations that we wanted to bring to the fore. And so this is really our area of major concern for safety, traffic, and future expansion. In the past, we've certainly looked at Route 1 and everything in this area, trying to keep that as industrial as possible because we are a big industrial facility at the end of the day. As we double our expansion, everything goes by road, so we will double our traffic. It's a direct correlation. While this has always been kept as industrial, with the changes going forward, we need to certainly have a concentrated effort of a major area of concern that we have, which is anything in and around that facility. Okay, that was it. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the things I'd like to say is the great support in District 6, which I'm the councillor, but also the great support in other areas of Annapolis County and in Digby County that Acadian Sea Plants, through the hard work of Peter, gives. They're very, very open to good community requests. Comments or questions?
Right here.
Michael.
Right back here. Thank you very much. There's a couple of questions that I have. I used to work for Cotw Sea Plants years and years ago. And one of the problems we had there, and we still have today, is the smell in the summer. Wafting towards Sport. Whenever the west wind is on, there's an awful stink that goes up on the hill there. And I wonder if anything's been done about that. The other thing Acadia Sea Plants, I believe, must keep in consideration, there is a big need for housing. there's a lot of very good land and on the north side of the highway going down towards and Warden, if I may ask you, the name of the street that goes right down through the stone gates, the pillars, and goes right down? Broadway. That, from Broadway over, I think most people, and I talk to a lot of people, most people are quite interested in keeping that for Acadia seaplants to a point. But to the west of Broadway, there's no reason why a lot of that can't be developed into housing and the rest of it, or whatever. But it would be good for Acadia seaplants to have more housing closer. I can't imagine why that would ever bother them. You do have a big lawn where the Sea Cadets used to practice there, that building going down there as well, and sort of a buffer. That goes right down, but the west side of Broadway, there's no reason that shouldn't be opened up to development. I mean, Acadia Seaplants has lots. I believe even some lots that you had on one of your maps, you guys even own a little bit to the right where the old tennis courts used to be.
That whole area, tennis courts is by here.
Oh, that is, yeah. So you guys own, you're not doing anything with that property.
No, and one of the reasons Acadia Seaplants wanted to make sure that they bought up as much as they could around there when they could was to try to keep it.
Well, the price was right back then too.
Well, not just that, but it's one of those things trying to make sure that you don't bring in problems. So one of the issues that Acadia Seaplants has, so go back to your first point, your first question, which was to do with smell. So we've invested heavily in the treatment plant that we have within the facility to look at any ammonias coming from the facility, and we're constantly looking at how we can improve that. So some of that capital investment goes into that on a regular basis. The problem sometimes is when you put 20,000 tons of seaweed on a concrete pad outside the facility, there is a smell associated with that, and it's almost impossible to do anything with that. But even saying that, there is a planning proposal that isn't got in yet, but will be going in at some point, to put an extension on the facility this end to try to again alleviate that kind of thing. So it's something that we're aware of. It's in our operating license, and we always are looking at trying to improve that. When it comes to housing, absolutely. So what you're talking about, the drill hole is actually here, which is a long thing. So yeah, this is the area of concern. This is the area of development that I believe is probably practical to do. The concern for Acadia Seaplants is really all and around the current area, and mainly over the traffic and the increase in traffic that's going to happen.
That could be all taken care of with gates up there, I would.
I'm sure there's 101 ways. We're just raising it as a concern and an issue.
And I understand it. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Councillor Ensel?
So in your presentation, you mentioned, so where building 12 and building 10 is, you have put a proposal into ABCC to purchase.
Oh, those two buildings.
Yes, sorry.
Yes.
So
there's a building here as well.
Yes, the condemned one. Have they considered your offer? Have they?
I'm actually on the board of the ABCC, so yes, we have considered. So yes, we have considered the offer. However, we're putting in a master plan to look at how we can develop this. So this is currently in the throes of progressing. So no decision is going to be made on the availability of that property to purchase prior to that master plan coming out, and that's going to be probably June, July time before we get something on that. But yes, we've expressed, so put my other hat on, so Acadia Seaplants has expressed interest in purchasing both of those buildings. And again, for this reason, to try to make sure there's the minimum impact locally that we can with increases in traffic. This area in particular is going to be huge because this is our shipping zone. And then this is where we get all of our chemicals and waste and seaweed delivered. With the addition that this is just taking into consideration Acadia Seaplants, you also have the other businesses that are in the area as well. But don't just use the traffic, but they actually block off the roads when they get their deliveries, which can be a problem. Thank you. No problem.
Thank you, Peter. And I may say for the little souvenirs you distributed, people will be submitting reports as to the effectiveness of it.
To be honest, I think they're pretty good. It was hard to track down somebody that used a product and then to try to get a final product. So we actually gave these out to every employee within the facility last year so that they could see some of the things that go into it. So.
Thank you very much. And next, we have the head of the Basin Aquatics. We have the head of the Basin Aquatics Committee, Bert McNeil, who's no stranger to this place. He was with us a couple of months ago, and by popular demand, he's back again. Over to you, Burton.
What? I heard that.
It's a hush peanut.
Yep.
Which one?
It was a slide presentation that we had. Showing the pool area.
That's all you gotta do.
All right, thanks. Mr. Warden, councilors, and staff, thanks for the opportunity to come back. After our last meeting, we had quite a conversation with the owner of the building, and we already know a lot of our issues. Right now, we still are a nonprofit society. These are some lines here of the pool area. This is a look at the one end of it. You'll notice the steps on the other side for people that need to walk down. The water slide's still there. This is the wheelchair ramp. So it's accessible with a wheelchair. We're the only pool west of Halifax that has one of these that you can take a wheelchair down into the pool. So we don't need a lift that sits on the side of this pool. People can be taken down by wheelchair and put right in the pool. There's 4 lanes there, 4 swim lanes, and obviously we have the kids' pool, hot tub, sauna, therapy pool, and our changing rooms are quite spacious. They're equipped for wheelchair accessibility showers as well. And there's also the 1/8 kilometer walking track overlooking the basin. Our draft pool schedule, I believe you got that in the last package. The other things we have here are the after-school programs for teens. That includes there's a volleyball net, and there's also a basketball nets that will fit to the side of the pool for kids to play game, play volleyball or play basketball. Swimming lessons, parents taught teen swims, open swims. There's also the space that we have for the birthday parties and corporate events. And having a year-round pool, recreation and well-being beyond beneficial to the community. The association also plans to hold special events for competition along the swimming teams, and that teams from Middleton to Digby. Where we have the lanes, we figure we may be able to utilize that, especially through the winter when they're not able to swim. They'll have a place where they can come and practice and compete with the other teams. There's the pool schedule right now. You'll notice the opening parts in there are open for a reason, in case we get, so corporate wants to, even if the county wanted to have a retreat, boom, boom, boom. This is the kids' pool here, and yes, it is. All the repairs have been done, and all these repairs at no cost to the Basin Aquatic Association. The owner of the property is taking care of all those costs. They're all his responsibility. And you also have the performers that were in the last package. These are the membership details that we have at this time.
At this time, we haven't started yet to have our applications filled out. It's in the works, but obviously it depends on where we are with where we want to be. So the aquatic classes, those will be, if this goes, those will be carried on by a separate individual with using the pool. Here are the responses, as you know, from the questionnaire that we put out to the public, and nothing has changed since. The facility for us, for the pool, positions that we have at this time would be a pool manager, mechanical service technician, lead lifeguard, 4 part-time lifeguards, biosecurity tech cleaner, certified water art aquatic instructor. Our ask now in total is $188,000. We've met with Digby County Council. We haven't got a confirmation yet, but we had a good meeting with them. Annapolis Rural will be meeting with tomorrow night, and the town of Digby we're going to be meeting with on the 17th of April. If we don't reach where we want to be, any monies that have been okayed by any of the councils will be returned. We're opening up our bank account tomorrow, and everything that's there is going to be refundable if we don't reach our $188,000. Again, this shows us the lanes in the pool. We know that it's been in operation for over 15 years. We've done our due diligence on a lot of this stuff, and it's where we are today. Again, the sauna, pool area, the lanes. And it's just a thank you from us. Any questions, I'll try to answer them.
Thanks, Bert. Councillor Sheridan, please.
Hi, Bert. Nice to see you. So the $188,000, is that including what Digby's going to give you, or this is what your ask is?
No, what we're doing, we want $188,000.
Altogether?
Yes. So we're asking Digby for a portion, Digby Town, Digby County, and Annapolis Rural, which will basically determine what we can come back to the county and say, this is what we need.
Okay. So my other question would be, if you can't get full funding, is it possible just to open up the main pool if you had enough money? No? No, you have to have it all?
It's got to be all.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just to open up the main pool. First of all, the hopper that feeds the pellets to it has to be fixed. That's going to be a $5,000 fix because we have to have a crane come in, lift it to put a part in it that was never put in. And previously, there were fires in the auger area because too many pellets were coming down at one time. So right now where we are is we've got to wait to fill the pool, and at that time the kids' pool will be filled as well. The therapy pool will be filled. So that's where we are right now.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Longmire, followed by Councillor Gunn, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Bert. This was, again, a great recap from the first time that we heard from you. I guess my question would be, are there other partners that you've considered outside of Digby Council, like county and the town of Digby, Annapolis Royal?
We're looking at right now through the province, through some of the accessibility programs as well, for equipment for the pool, for the wheelchair accessibility and stuff. But yes, we are looking in it, but right at the stage of the game, we're kind of doing baby steps just to, so that when and if we get a commitment from the councils, then we can go jump at it with the province and the federal government. So, but right now it's baby steps.
Have you considered the Special Olympics group?
I've never thought of that. No, we didn't.
They were eager back a few years ago. I do know when you spoke about the possibility of being able to train and swim out of season from summer to winter, like what we consider to be summer to winter swim, inside versus outside. There are Nova Scotia regulations per Swim Nova Scotia on how much you can train on the inside dwelling, like an inside pool. So it does restrict summer swimmers from training because it puts them at an advantage, right? And I do know competition pools, they are looking at them to be the 6-lane for competition, right? But still, it doesn't mean that there couldn't be possibly in the future a winter swim team there again, right? But I would also encourage you to look at Special Olympics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Gunn?
Thank you so much. And Bert, I got to thank you and your organization, the Basic Squatters Association, there for taking this on and trying to get it back up and running. My question, though, would be the lease. What does the owner of the building require yearly or monthly or daily or whatever for a lease, rent, whatever you want to call it?
Honestly, Mike, I can't answer that question right at this point in time. They were supposed to send me last week a copy of the lease.
Okay.
And I haven't received it yet. Honestly, I know it goes by the square foot, but that's about all I can say right now because I personally haven't seen it. It was supposed to come to me, but it hasn't yet. So I've got a meeting down there tomorrow, so we're going to have more.
We'll know.
I'll know more. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. No,
Thank you. We'd like to know that. All right.
Yeah, oh yeah, no.
There was at least over there.
Okay, Councillor Ansel.
Thank you, sir. I just had a couple questions about, I don't want to bring up history of anything, but do we know how many memberships the YMCA had? And is it close to what?
That information was never given to us. Any information that we've tried to get from the Y has been withheld, especially when it comes to that sort of information. That's all I can say right now. I don't know what they had. If you go by what we had here, we put in the last package the financial statements. If you're looking at right up top, membership and program dues. In 2019, it was $421,000, which would put it in the same area that we are now. Then the next year it was 237, so obviously there was quite a sharp drop.
So with the YMCA, of course, a lot of their membership was to do with, they had incentives for low income and different things like that. Is that something that your organization plans to do?
Well, we have right now with the fees that we have, we figure are quite reasonable.
Okay.
Now, there are situations where there could be people that just can't. We are open and will be open to work with those people so they can take advantage of the pool.
And the other part too, I guess, would be, if this goes through and open up, and of course, so would this be an annual request that you'd be asking from all the municipalities?
Yes, for the time being. But yes, we would be back. I can't say we couldn't.
Okay. Nope. That's all the questions I had. Thanks.
Any other comments, questions? Councillor LeBlanc.
Good morning.
thank you very much for coming back and showing us all those nice pictures of the pool. Some of us have not seen the pool and everything that's been done. So it looks very organized and well fixed up and maintained. It's great to see that you have taken on such a big project, because it is. But it is also something that, for the health of a lot of our population in the county and in Digby County, would need to help them through their difficult times, depending on whatever level of health it is. So hopefully everything goes well at all the other different municipalities, and we can help you out hopefully and see that you strive and don't have to come back to see us. That's the key.
Yeah, that is the key. I mean, we obviously would like to be self-sustained, right? Without having to come and say, can you help us? Can you help us, right? That is our main goal that we are striving for. But like I said, baby steps right at this point in time, and then, yes, we'll probably be back next year if we meet our goal this year. So,
good.
Right.
Thank you very much.
And the other thing I'd like to add too, anything that is given to the pool goes directly to our association. So if anything fell through, your monies would come back. What we have in the bank, it would come back. So.
Thank you. Councillor Bartow.
Hey, bye.
Just following up on a question that was before about your cash flow statement, it does mention lease. I think if you multiply that up, it's close to 90,000 a year in lease payments.
Okay, could be. Yeah,
85 to 90.
Yeah, that could be right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming back. Bert.
No, thanks for the opportunity to come back. I really appreciate it. I only wish that in our first instance, we could have avoided all this. So,
Well,
anyway.
That's all right, and we'll hear from you in due course as to the specific amount you would like us to consider.
Once I get a feel from Digby Town and Annapolis Rural, and get a return of information from Digby County. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bert. Good to see you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You will recall that we all received one of these booklets about Pierre de Galdemont and the relationship to our area and our history. And a number of weeks ago, I and Elizabeth and Councillor Bartow and his wife, Deborah Ryan, attended a viewing of a film about du Gardemont, and it was put together a number of years ago, but now it was with subtitles in English. And you will recall also that we donated a small sum of money to the Twinning Committee, which is organizing festivities in June between our area here and the birth area of Pierre de Gardemont. And I asked Christine Ingo to come and tell us in a bit more detail about the project and how we can continue to participate. Tuella Pro.
Good to see you. Thank you. Morning, everyone. Good morning. Warden, councilors. So basically, I am here this morning to say thank you, because that's very important, and I thank the warden and Clyde and other members of the county who were at the presentation of the film on February the 22nd. So I am Christine Go, and I am president of the Annapolis Royal Twinning Committee. Is it Spacebar? You said Spacebar?
Yes.
Yes, Spacebar. So we are twinned with the town of, well, it's actually a city of 20,000 people in France called Royan, which is right here on the west coast. A big port city there, and we have been twinned with Royan, France since 1996, with an official engagement since about 2008, which was signed. So this is a slide from the film, but you can see that Royan and Port-Royal are basically just across the pond from each other, which is one of the reasons why Dugas-Dumont thought that the climate in Port-Royal might be the same as in Royan, and why they got into so much trouble the first winter that they were here. So yes, that turned out not to be quite what they thought. So we go back and forth usually every 4 years between Royan and Port-Royal, and our last visit to Royan was in 2019 for us going there with the former Mayor Bill McDonald. This is the Dugas monument that sits on the Promenade Dugas in Royan, France. And I'm there with Mayor McDonald and the president of the Twinning Committee in Royan, France, and one of the councillors in Royan. The mission of the Annapolis Royal Twinning Committee is to work towards a better community knowledge and contribution of Dugas-Dumont to the history of Canada. Because this region, if it is the birthplace of Acadian language and culture, it is because this man came here and established the habitation in Port Royal. So the town of Annapolis Royal and the Twinning Committee, in a desire to recognize the contribution of Pierre Dugas-Dumont, have designated June 18th as the Journée Pierre Dugas-Dumont Day. And this was decided a while back after 2019, but because of COVID, we haven't been able to have our twinning people back from Royan. So this is going to happen now, this June 18th, 2023. So here we see the mayor of Royan, Monsieur Patrick Maringo, and Bill McDonald. This is in the town hall in Royan, France in 2019. This is the first time we're going to have a mayor from Royan come to Annapolis Royal and to visit our region. And he's coming with an 11-member delegation, and none of these people have been to Nova Scotia, let alone Annapolis Royal before. So we're bringing 11 people in to visit us, with one couple actually who are going to stay for another week and tour around Nova Scotia. So this is bringing people to us who will spread the word about all the wonderful things we have here and be here. And what we're going to do is install this new permanent bilingual interpretive panel, which has been entirely financed by the Historical Association of Annapolis Royal, because the town of Annapolis Royal did not have funding for this, and the Historical Association took up to the plate for funding for this. And this is going to be installed in front of the amphitheater on the Dugas Promenade in Annapolis Royal. And it will be unveiled there on June the 18th. And this is what the panel will look like, and it will go on a metal stand. There are other panels on the boardwalk as well. But this is the first bilingual panel that will be installed in Annapolis Royal. So who is this man, Dugas-Dumont? He was a merchant explorer who financed the voyages in 1604 and 1605 here to this region. And he was accompanied by his cartographer, Champlain, who often overshadows, of course, Dugas-Dumont, because if you all remember your history lessons, you learned all about Samuel de Champlain, and I don't know if there are 3 people in this room who can tell me that they learned who Dugas-Dumont was when they were at school. Anybody? Okay, Warden, thank you. Okay, 2, that's great, so 2. So he is not really well known, and yet he's he who had the money. Champlain did not have any money, so Dugas-Dumont financed these expeditions. And he is also the one who sent Champlain to establish the habitation in Quebec in 1608. So, and actually Dugas-Dumont owned the habitation in Quebec for quite a few years when his partners pulled out and he had to buy up all the shares. So he's a big deal. should be anyway. And this is a picture of actually the 10-year monopoly he was given by King Henry IV in 1604, 1605. It went from about present-day Philadelphia all the way up past the St. Lawrence. So it was a 10-year monopoly to fish and to trade for furs, which was obviously, with 3 little ships, absolutely impossible to defend. And it was actually revoked after a year, and then he sent Champlain to Quebec. So this slide comes from Breakwater Studios, who will hopefully one day do some kind of a film about this area, but they have this illustration which we are using on our panel with the courtesy from them, because we know that Dugas, although he's responsible for the birthplace of French and Acadian culture here, they worked very closely with the Mi'kmaq people and were befriended by the Mi'kmaq people, which is something that we are working towards recognition of as well. They had a long-lasting alliance, the French and the Mi'kmaq, which lasted for about 150 years until the deportation, and this is something that we continue to make reference to. So the municipality of the County of Annapolis is very much involved in this event. This is the pull-up banner. The Twinning Committee of Annapolis Royal, as the warden mentioned, came to you with a request for funding earlier in the year, which you generously granted to us, a funding of $2,850 to help us, especially in marketing for this event. And so your money has already been somewhat spent, which is a good thing, and we are very, very grateful to you for your financial help. So with this money and that of the town of Annapolis Royal, we have already been able to make the following, which is this bilingual pull-up banner, because all of our materials will be bilingual. So this is a pull-up banner like you have here, which features Dugas Dumont's crest, because we have no portraits or images of him, and our twinning cities, and also Annapolis Royal and the County of Annapolis. And then I brought the sandwich board just so that you could actually see the real colors, because it's very beautiful and very vibrant. And this will also has the county logo on it as well. And you also helped, your funding also helped pay for the bilingual programs, which were part of the film, Clyde and the warden, which were put out, which also feature, of course, our logos of all our sponsors. And you also, the county also gave us a very special grant of $500 on top of the money you gave us for marketing to actually help us with this film. So this is the end credit in this documentary film from 2002. So this is a permanent part of this film where it acknowledges the County of Annapolis. This is just a screenshot from the film, which is why it's a little blurry. And so that film, which will go out into the schools and which will be uploaded now to YouTube for the whole world to see, will go out with the County of Annapolis logo on it, because you gave us a $500 grant to help us with this film, to help us get this done. So we're very grateful to you for that. Further materials to be made for the June 18th event include a bilingual program for the actual day at the amphitheater, advertising and posters for that event on June the 18th, and we're working towards a bilingual educational brochure which will be made for the Visitor Information Center and which will accompany the film when it goes into the schools. So at this time, and on behalf of the town of Annapolis Royal, of course, we cordially invite you all to come to the events on June the 18th. The official program and official invitations will be sent to Warden and councillors by Mayor Anne-Marie Boyer. So Warden asked me to talk about future possible involvement of the municipality of the County of Annapolis, because the legacy of Dugas Dumont to this region is huge. He's responsible for the first birthplace of Acadie right here in our county, and this is not very well known. And as you know, in 2024, next year, thousands of visitors of Acadian heritage will come to the Congrès Mondial Acadien to be held in Clare and Pubnico next summer. They're going to be coming right through here. And I know the town of Annapolis is working with a committee towards putting together a pamphlet on visitor sites that are Acadian interest, but there are opportunities in the county to showcase points of interest to people of Acadian heritage. One of those sites, of course, is Poutrincourt's historic mill in Lequille on the Dugway Road. What's missing to get people to this site is signage. You drive out of Annapolis Royal towards the golf course and you've got nothing that tells you that there is this amazing historic site down the Dugway Road. There's a sign that says Dugway Road that way, but there's nothing about this monument. And that is something that could be worked on as a possibility, so that visitors coming say, hey, there's something of Acadian interest down there. And Richard Laurent, who actually owns the property next to this site, is very interested in working on how to get more visitors down there to see that site, because this mill wheel is from the late 1600s when Poutrincourt built that mill so that the men didn't have to grind the grain by hand. And the Dugway Road, the history of the naming of the Dugway Road is not very clear. Apparently there was a family named Dugway, but if you don't speak French and you look at the writing of Dugas, it's not that big of a step to get from Dugas to Dugway to Dugway. Is it possible that Poutrincourt named this little road to get to his mill after Pierre Dugas-Dumont, who was the one who granted him the Port Royal? I don't know. But it's certainly an interesting connection, and one that could be explored, and which means that some kind of information could be put along the Dugway Road. I wouldn't suggest for a minute that Dugway Road gets changed of its name at all, but there is perhaps some exploring that could be done there. And this is a picture of the twinning people from Royan who came in 2017, when we were, of course, celebrating the very important 150th of Canada. But in 2028, we will celebrate the 400th anniversary of the death of Pierre Dugas-Dumont. We don't know when he was born, but we know he died in 1628. And the Twinning Committee would like to work towards the organization of an international event to celebrate the 400th anniversary of his death. We have connections in Louisiana, we have connections in France, we have connections in Quebec. We could make an international event happen here in our county to celebrate Dugas-Dumont. So any interest in this endeavor by the municipality of the County of Annapolis would be very much appreciated. And the county has been very involved in several twinning events over the years, providing not only financing, but information, good cheer certificates, and housing for interns. In fact, this year, Deb Ryan is going to house one of our visitors from Royan during their 4-day visit. So, in conclusion, as chair of the Annapolis Road Twinning Committee, and on behalf of all of our members, I would like to thank Warden Morrison and the Municipal Council, and also Deb Ryan and Nancy Whitman, for the county's financial contribution to our 2023 events. We have a $25,000 budget for what's going to happen this summer. And a lot of that is in-kind contributions by Twinning Committee members. We have your money, we have a matching grant from the town of Annapolis Royal, and we have had some money from Scotian Wind, and I'm putting a grant into Acadian Affairs, which is going in this week. So any monies that we receive is with a lot of gratitude. So I hope to see you at the amphitheater on June the 18th to be with us. Warden, you will be asked to say a few words. You don't know that yet, but now you do. And it will be in your official information and your official invitation. So again, a big, big thank you from the Annapolis Royal Twinning Committee. It's very important for us to have you on board with us here in the county. And if you have any questions about the visit coming up or about what we're up to, I'd be happy to answer them in English or in French.
Merci, madame.
Merci.
Maintenant, nous avons un peu un morceau de temps pour des questions. Avez-vous more questions? Councillor Gunn.
Thank you very much. The sign that's going down or in town there.
Yeah.
A lot of signs that we're doing nowadays have 3 languages on it because apparently there's 3 official languages in town or in this area. And I do wonder if Mi'kmaq is going to be on it as well.
Mi'kmaq is not going to be on that sign. We have reached out to Bear River First Nation, and one of the things that is very important that's going to happen during this visit, which has not been very easy to organize, but which we're really happy about, is that Bear River First Nation has invited the delegation to come to the community and for tea. Because in 2019, when we went to Royan, Chief Carol Potter sent a white eagle feather with Bill McDonald to present to the mayor of Royan, which was a huge deal in recognition of the friendship. And so now the mayor of Royan, who is coming, will go to Bear River to present a gift in recognition of the friendship that the Mi'kmaq extended to the French when they arrived. So that's going to happen.
And if I can just follow that up, just one more. These trips to Royan that have been going on for quite a few years now, I think there's been a couple of things from Annapolis in there. Is that something Annapolis Royal covers the cost of?
No.
That's each individual
Each
member?
individual twinning member pays their way across the water, and then we are received with great pomp and circumstance in Royan. So when we have the official town dinner, twinning members pay all their own way. The money that we fundraise for goes for paying what we need for the 11 delegates. None of that money is used towards twinning except to help us with gas to go and pick them up in Halifax. But we pay our own entry fees to Parks Canada. When we go to Port Royal, when we go to the habitation, we pay our own official meals.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, merci madame.
Thank you. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, as close as possible to 1:15. Is that okay?
What's that?
As close as possible to 1:15.
Okay, that's...
Thank you. We'll adjourn. Thank you. We're back in session. We're on page 185, and we're on the second motion. Is there any further discussion?
Hard to remember exactly where we left off there, but...
We're on the second motion.
Yeah, we're on the second motion, but where we left off, we started discussing it.
We were trying to seek the source of, it recommends that staff review information from the committee. And I asked where the staff would get the information, and you indicated from the 2 or 3 pages following the page on which the motion was made.
And the point that was being made there was kind of drifting back and forth on comments between motion 1 and motion 2. Motion 2, it was the placement of that speed sign, and comments were it would be more beneficial if speed sign was at or prior to the crosswalk, because it would be coming before the crosswalk and not deeper into the village where it's positioned at currently.
And that's contained in these correspondences.
Yeah. And then the second sign could go down, which there's none mounted there now, coming into Victoria Beach.
So are you thinking there will be another sign?
Yeah, and the motion that was made by Al Parrish requested 1 sign for Church Street, Richmond, and 2 for Granville Ferry, but we're not getting them 2 for Granville Ferry yet. And I think the intent was to have it the same as any other town, like Bowling Beach, Chandler, and Middleton, that sign's there, not have it floated around. If we need more somewhere else, I think that's another deal that we should maybe be looking at. But motion was for community of Granville Ferry and community of Church Street, Bridgetown. Those three signs will be purchased for that purpose. And we all go back to the original motion.
But right now, we're talking about
The placement.
regarding the placement. And one option for regarding the placement is none. Another option is Councillor Longmire.
It's relocating where it is and adding the second one that was in the original motion.
Councillor, your motion does not say that in
I'm just
any
giving back.
way.
I'm not reading my motion, I'm giving it back.
Yes. Councillor Longmire, please.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm going to be off the mark, but, so the motion to recommend that staff review information is what I'm going to speak to, not the second sentence, which is placement of the electronic signs. But I think I can be okay in saying, or point out that on page 186, in the second paragraph, it says, but the road never changed its course. Of course, looking at the immigrants, the first immigrants, small houses built past horse rode the roads. Time has evolved. I think we've evolved. And, the parking there is arduous, yes, and it speaks to the information. Parking on both sides. There is a bus now going down through there. There's transport trucks going down through there. There's all kinds of equipment that travels down that road because of farm and such. And so, although I had heard around the room, Councillor Cotw had spoke about, we all have some of these issues in our communities, and I can certainly attest to that. I have it in my own. The reality is we do need to start looking at these, and they have made some noise about it, and it is serious. I travel through there, and so I think the signs, we do need to look at their placement. It will make a significant difference if there are two. But it's dangerous at best. Those buildings, it's so congested going down through there. It's worthy of a serious review, whether we're able to do anything or not, but that's just my point.
Thank you, Deputy Warden.
Did we approve the purchase of a few signs back in November, December, somewhere in there?
Yes.
I don't recall if we actually passed a motion.
Yeah, we did. She was indicating 4, yeah.
Councillor Gunn.
Thank you very much. We could put signs up, more signs up. I think that'd be our cheapest way out. Or even if traffic was directed back in North Street, that's just going to go by a school. People have to slow down for the school. Or you could put a bypass road up and back there. That'll cost us a little bit. So I think the signs would be the cheapest thing. If the community's asking for more signs, well, let's put another flashing sign. We'll move the place where it is now down before the crosswalk. That covers that. And on the other end, just as you come into Granville, stick one there. And I think that we can't do much more than that. I don't think if we want to tackle the government on changing the speed limits and the rest of it, because there are a lot of people that take their time to go through Granville Fair, if you know what I mean. And they have other things to do. They got things to do, So there's a lot more than just Granville Ferry that road affects. So the flashing signs, I think are the best. I think it would be our cheapest.
Councillor Connell.
And one of the issues I have is that there's been a great amount of work done on that road and the sidewalks. And if people are parking that close to the road, maybe there should be putting signs up of no parking. Because if they're creating their own problems, then how do they expect us to go in and fix a problem they're creating on their own? And if they're parking on both sides of the road, making the road narrow, so when two vehicles that pay gas tax, that's allowed to travel on any portion of Department of Transportation's province's roads because they pay gas tax. We had the same problem in subdivisions in Cotw when a quarry was and people drove through the subdivision with a dump truck. They pay gas tax. They have the right to travel on provincial highways. And that's exactly what we got through Granville Ferry. It's a provincial section of highway. And if they're creating a narrow situation, then maybe they should only have parking on one side of the road or eliminate parking on both sides of the road. Because I could do the same thing in front of my house. I could pull off to the shoulder, make sure my mirror didn't hit on the edge of the road, and cry if someone goes by and takes my mirror off. I'm creating my own problem. So if there is an issue that they're creating on their own, watch what you ask for. Because if that is the issue, that they're parking, we have a counselor says that are parking the wrong direction on the side of the road. So when they're going down, instead of turning and parking the right direction, they're just pulling over the other side of the road and parking. If two tractor trailer rigs come through there at a speed of 35, 40 kilometers an hour, someone's gonna hit the brakes or hit a parked vehicle. So if there's more issues that they think they need to get fixed, they better watch what they're asking for, because there comes consequences.
Further comments? All right, all those in favor? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And now we're going to do other business. Right?
The additional comic circulator.
You need to change the order of the day?
No, you added it already under new business in this spot.
All right, we are considering the staff report on tax exemption and reduction policy. I believe you each have the 2-page. Deputy Warden, why don't you?
I got two. I move that municipal council accept late applications from Atlanta Hospice Society, AAN number 09-148-698, AAN number 09-149-295, and the Friends of Margaret's Lighthouse, AAN number 03-390-594, and add them to the AM-1.4.12 tax exemption and reduction policy for the 2023-24 year, 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconder, please. Councilor Longmire, discussion. Councilor Dunn.
I have to ask the question. Is the Atlanta Hospice Society an actual thing yet? Have they actually got off the ground and going? They've got a sign, I know that, and they've got land.
It's been a society for a number of years, and it's almost a year now since it became a charity.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
You're okay? Yeah. Thank you. Adopted. Now, are you ready for? I'd like a motion, please, that we meet in camera in accordance with sections 22(2)A, acquisition, sale, lease, and security of municipal property, brackets E, contract negotiations, and brackets F, litigation or potential litigation of the Municipal Government Act. Moved by the Deputy Warden, seconded by Councillor LeBlanc. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. Meeting is adjourned.